Alright, we're back, and this time we continue our experiment on the Yo tank with the mobility build. And this time I've discovered that this tank might not even need a vertical stabilizer, and that's because if you notice that the tier 6, tier 7s and tier 8s have really terrible moving dispersions of 0.24, but once you reach the tier 10, this thing has stock dispersion of 0.16, which means if you're running a BIA crew, if you're running food, you can get this dispersion, moving dispersion down to 0.15. You don't really need much gun improvement any more than that. I mean, you could get it down to 0.11 gun moving dispersions if you are running double vertical stabilizers, yeah, that would help a lot. But this being a heavy tank and with the moving dispersions at 0.15, if I am running this setup, man, I don't really need to make my gun any better here. Of course, I didn't pen the first couple of shots there. Did pen this one. That was because I was running the premium heat shells and I shot the tracks. I could have done a lot better if I was firing just the standard APCR shells. Of course, if you're firing this tank with the small gun, which I am doing, in my first video, the reaction video, I did play this tank with the big gun, the bigger alpha gun with the 440 alpha damage. This one has 360 alpha damage but reloads just over 6 seconds because I'm running a rammer, I'm running food, I'm running BIA crew. You see me here with the hardening equipment and turbo and 105 octane fuel, and that's because I'm not running a repair kit. Now obviously I have explained this in my tier 8 video as well. Normally when I'm running a repair kit, almost 90% of the time it is because I am trying to repair the tracks. Now this is a Yo tank with the extra track, with the reserve track, so even if I do get tracked, I have a reserve track to fall back on. I don't really need a repair kit in my mind anyway. If I did get ammo racked, of course I want a repair kit to repair my ammo rack, but this is the gamble you need to take here. You need to think for yourself what is better for you. A repair kit just in case you got ammo racked, or you can do without an ammo rack, get 10% more horsepower and use that 105 fuel so that you can get 10% more horsepower and therefore increasing your mobility. Now I got into this early position, cross into the riverbed and be a little bit more aggressive, in part because I have turbo and because of that 105 fuel, because that gives me a little bit more mobility, a little bit more speed, get to this early position, and this maybe perhaps scared the enemy a little bit and they did not rush in to kill me off, and this gave me some time for my team to join me in this position and got a little bit of an advantage here because I'm taking this early position, and because I was able to be aggressive and get into the ditch, and that maybe helped my team to also be a little bit more brave and come and join me and help me take this position. Without the turbo, without the 105 fuel, maybe I couldn't get into this early position. Maybe I couldn't have been so aggressive, and this is what I wanted to point out with this build. And in the long run, this build might not be super useful in a in a city map position. Perhaps in a city map I would prefer to bring a repair kit along and take my time and build up my fighting capabilities in the city. But in a position like in a map like this, open maps, I want to get into better fighting positions, and I will use that 105 fuel. This is where the field modifications will be very useful. You could run two builds, one with vertical stabilizer equipment, turbo and a rammer, for you to fight in maps like Prokhorovka, for example, maybe, and then another build, another field modification where you can run the hardening equipment with turbo and rammer like I have right now, get into early position, and then have 10% more hit points so that I can be more effective using my hardening, because that hardening also helps with your making your tracks more difficult for the enemies to break. So I find that if you have field modifications, you're gonna be running one with hardening and one with vertical stabilizers. I found that with the tier 10 Yo tank, you don't really need vertical stabilizers because it is stock stock moving dispersion is 0.16, unlike the tier 6, tier 7s and tier 8s with a stock dispersion of 0.24. Those tanks really need vertical stabilizers all the time. This one not so much. You can handle this tank with a 0.16 vertical stabilization, and I feel like I don't need it, so I can just run this tank with hardening without vertical stabilizers at all, and then I just run this with a rammer, run this with a turbo, and I am able to be very aggressive and be very competitive in this tank. Now I find that I have played this tank in my early reaction video. I ran this tank with hardening, with vertical stabilizer, with a rammer, and with the big gun. And with the small gun, I feel that overall the small gun is going to be a lot better because you have that DPM to basically be a very aggressive tank. Yes, you do get less damage because 360 alpha, but you can fire more often and you can be a lot more effective that way, and I think this is the correct way to go. But on the other hand, you could run the big gun as well, because the big gun is only 1.5 seconds slower or something like that in the reload, but you get 80 more alpha. So I don't know, you'd have to play with this tank for a longer period of time before you figure out for yourself which one is better. But for me, I find that this build is going to be slightly better, but maybe I could spend more time playing with the big gun and then figure out maybe I could run it with the big gun, with the turbo, with the hardening, with the 105 fuel as well, and then see maybe that could be a better build. I'm not 100% sure, but I should have changed my ammunition. But I just fired the T55A with DHE shells and only got 17 damage, but still this turned out to be an okay game, better than average game, I would say. And this is my opinion right now. I think this gun, the small gun with the hardening, the turbo and the 105 fuel is what I'm leaning to most of the time. What do you think, and what have you guys been playing with? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next video. Bye bye.